It's been said that if you want to hide something from the public, put it in plain sight. And that is often the case when we talk about ancient knowledge that defies modern understanding. Many of these ancient maps have been right under our noses this whole time, literally in plain sight. They were stored away in archives or museums where nobody really paid attention to them. Many of these maps contain information that science just can't explain, especially considering how old they are. We're talking hundreds of years old. In today's video, I want to share with you one of my favorite examples. There are a few that I love, but the Piri Reis Map is one of them. This is a map that was created in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis. If you zoom into this map, you will see what appears to be the coast of what we know today as Brazil. It looks relatively accurate in comparison to modern-day Brazil. Now fast forward to this part of the map. This right here does not look like any part of the world that we know today. What exactly is this? Take a closer look. You see this right here? This is supposed to be Africa. So this means that this part of the map must be Antarctica. This is very interesting because Antarctica was not discovered until much later, at least not by Western standards. Now let's take a closer look at this map and try to make sense of it. This is a rough translation of the text that is on the map. You can see Africa, you can see Brazil. Over here is Asia, China, India, and then over here is what they believe to be Mogadishu, or what we today call Madagascar. In the center of the map, we have what they thought was Arabia. This is definitely fascinating. Again, this map was created in 1513. For those of you who do not know, 1513 is long before the discovery of Antarctica. As far as we know, Antarctica was officially discovered around 1820, roughly 300 years after this map was created. But yet this map shows Antarctica without any ice, just like someone would map out Florida or California. So the question is, how did this Ottoman admiral manage to discover Antarctica more than 300 years before anyone else? Well, there is another map that is similar to this one. I actually prefer this one to the Piri Reis Map. This map was published in 1544. The man behind this map is a German cartographer named Orontius Phineus. This map is titled Orbis Terrarum, which translates to the world. Here is the description that goes along with the map. You can read it on the left side. Here's a rough translation of the text. Let's look at the bottom. Terra Nova. That simply means new land, referring to North America. Then it says, here is India. Here is Cathay, which is what they used to refer to China. Here is Mogadishu. Here is Arabia. Here is Persia. And then here it says, here is the southern land, also known as Terra Australis. What makes this map so intriguing is the fact that this map also shows Antarctica, but shows it in even greater detail than the Piri Reis Map. This map shows Antarctica as being a part of a larger continent, almost like a supercontinent. Here's another interesting observation. On the Piri Reis Map, this area right here is completely white, meaning it was either unknown or unexplored territory. However, on the Finnish map, this region is colored, indicating that the cartographers of the time had some knowledge of the area. Also, if you look closely, you can see a large island in this region, which could possibly represent the existence of Zealandia. The Piri Reis Map also shows the South Pole star, which indicates that the map makers knew the exact location of the South Pole. They also knew that Antarctica was a continent just like Asia, Europe, and Africa. Antarctica was not considered a landmass that existed only in theory. Rather, it was accepted as a reality. Let's think about this for a second. These maps were created more than 300 years ago, yet they contain information that was unknown to the rest of the world. How is it possible that these cartographers managed to discover Antarctica before anyone else? Did they stumble upon ancient ruins that contain this information? Did they receive this information from a different culture? Perhaps they obtained this knowledge through the teachings of the mystery schools, teachings that were being passed down through secret societies. Or maybe they got their hands on a lost civilization's artifact, something like a tablet or a disc. Maybe they even got their hands on one of those strange stones that we sometimes find buried underground, that have strange symbols and markings on them that nobody seems to be able to decipher. Or perhaps they received this information through an advanced people who came from the sky, like many other cultures throughout history. The truth is, we don't really know the origins of this knowledge. But what we do know is that Antarctica has been a mystery since the beginning of human history. Thousands of years ago, the Inca people built Machu Picchu high up in the mountains of Peru. This citadel was hidden from the rest of the world for hundreds of years, even though it was built with massive stone blocks that weighed many tons each. This place truly is amazing. And I had the opportunity to visit it myself back in 2018. More recently, in 1929, a mysterious doorway was discovered on the side of a mountain in southern Peru. This doorway is unlike anything we have ever seen before, and many scientists are baffled by it. It appears to be highly advanced technology that we simply can't explain. Some believe that this is evidence of an ancient alien presence in South America. The door is perfectly smooth, and there are strange symbols carved all over it. The door also has a gear mechanism, and many scientists believe that it's impossible for such a thing to exist in a place like this, a place where there is no electricity and never has been. What's interesting is that these doors were found in a place called Pumapunku. Pumapunku is a site located about 60 miles from Lake Titicaca, the highest navigable lake in the world. Pumapunku was once a ceremonial center, but over time it has been looted of most of its artifacts. The ruins that can still be found here contain incredibly precise carvings and geometric shapes. The stones are shaped in such a way that they fit together like a giant puzzle. And this is fascinating because the Inca people did not have any sophisticated tools. All they had were primitive stone tools made out of basic materials like copper. Yet they managed to build these incredible structures that continue to baffle scientists to this day. But why am I bringing up ancient doorways that we can't explain when we're talking about maps that show Antarctica? Well, because the Inca people, just like the ancient cartographers of the Ottoman Empire, knew things about the world that we just can't explain. According to the Inca people, the entire world was a disk, just like a giant frisbee. The Inca people believed that this disk rested on the back of a giant turtle. The turtle was surrounded by 4 mountains that held up the disk. At the edge of the world, the disk was held up by 4 large trees, and these trees reached all the way up into the sky. The sun and the moon would travel through these trees to reach the earth. It was believed that the Milky Way was formed by the path that the sun took through these trees. This is a very interesting creation story, and it's not the only one like this. The ancient Greeks, for example, had a similar belief. They believed that the world was a flat disk that was held up by 4 pillars of the earth. However, one of the most fascinating beliefs of the Inca people was their belief surrounding Mount Chimborazo. Mount Chimborazo is an active volcano in Ecuador. To this day, the Inca people believed that this mountain was the center of the universe, and they believed that it reached all the way up into the heavens. This is fascinating considering that Mount Chimborazo is not even the tallest mountain on Earth. In fact, it's not even the tallest mountain in Ecuador. Yet the Inca people somehow knew that this mountain was the center of everything. This is where we start to get really interesting, because the Inca people didn't just believe that Mount Chimborazo was the center of the universe, they also believed that this mountain was a gigantic metal needle that was sticking out of the earth. And they believed that this needle was being pulled up by a force from the heavens. Now, if you take a good look at a picture of Mount Chimborazo, you will see what looks like a giant hole sticking out of the mountain. What you are looking at is a crater. This crater is very unique because it doesn't look like any other crater that I've ever seen. Most craters that I'm familiar with are either round or oval-shaped. However, this crater is shaped like a perfect cone. It looks like a giant needle sticking out of the mountain. So the question is, how did the Inca people know about this strange crater that exists on Mount Chimborazo? And how did they come to believe that this mountain was the center of the universe? Well, sadly, we don't know the answers to these questions. But what we do know is that somewhere in the Andes Mountains there is a hidden cave that contains strange hieroglyphic tablets. These tablets tell the story of a great flood that happened many years ago, a flood that changed the world forever. The tablets also tell stories of an advanced race of beings that lived in South America thousands of years ago. This race was highly advanced, and they had abilities that we can barely imagine. Sadly, these tablets were stolen many years ago, and today they are nowhere to be found. But luckily, we do have the Piri Reis Map and the Finns Map. These maps teach us an important lesson. Ancient knowledge is something that we should not be so quick to dismiss. Yes, it may not fit into our current narrative, but that doesn't mean that it's not real. The truth is, there are many things that we simply cannot explain. The Piri Reis Map and the Finns Map are 2 prime examples of this. But instead of dismissing this knowledge, We should try to understand it. We should try to learn from it, and we should try to preserve it for future generations.